All right, well, we're back again. It's me, Chucky, as always, and Jiggy.
It is indeed your boy Jake.
The discussion for today is Mountaintop Motel Massacre from 1983, a movie which I had never really watched before. I believe you have a little bit. Maybe before I get into my thoughts, maybe just give the people at home a little rundown of your history with the movie.
Indeed. So I have seen this movie once before. It was, if I had to estimate it, let's say between 5 and 8 years ago. Um, and of course, the title is very striking, Mountaintop Motel Massacre. It sounds like it should be a pretty fun movie. Um, so I checked it out, and I can't say what my exact reaction was back when I first saw it, but I knew it didn't really stand out either highly positively or highly negatively. It just sort of was. So I was deeply curious about getting back to this and seeing what I thought about it with fresh eyes. Um, and I was sort of hoping for more than what I got. It's somewhat atypical of an early 80s horror movie. It almost in some ways feels like a late 70s movie. It's not what I would necessarily call fun. And I'm sure this type of style might appeal to, a decent amount of people, but it just didn't necessarily hit the right spots for me.
Yeah, I kind of felt a little bit the same way about it. There were parts to the movie where I was enjoying it, then there were parts where I was kind of lagging and I just wasn't really into it. I think the beginning and ending to the movies, they're sort of enjoyable for what they are. Nothing spectacular, but the first 20 minutes or so I thought was setting up for something decent, and the movie could have gone in a couple of different directions, really. To be honest, when I began watching this movie, I thought it was going to be something to do more with the daughter being involved with killing. And yeah, that it doesn't really go in that direction, but that's kind of what I was thinking right at the beginning of the movie, just because, you got the old granny killing her little hamster or whatever, and I don't know, I just thought it would, kind of go that direction. But yeah, it doesn't. And yeah, towards the end, I think there's some decent slasher type action. I mean, it's nothing that a slash fan's going to be jizzing all over, but there's a couple of okay kill scenes, including the one towards the end.
Yeah, I think once the movie gets going, and once it starts picking up, it doesn't do too poorly. Like you said, there's some decent scenes. There's a guy who loses his hand, for instance. This one individual gets the throat slit, so it has a bit of okay stuff in it, but it's getting there. That takes quite a while. I mean, the setup to this movie. I mean, the first 15 minutes just follows this older woman who accidentally kills her the daughter, granddaughter, um, and then is trying to, I guess, get over that, and then people start coming to this motel she owns, and then things finally slowly start getting moving, but it just takes so long for things to actually pick up pace, and when they do, it's not even a too little too late situation. It's just way too late, and there's almost nothing there anyway.
Mm. Yeah, as I was watching this movie, I couldn't help but think of a couple of other movies that were, I'm not going to say all the way uh, similar to it, but definitely had some of the same type of things happening throughout. Like two movies in particular. The original Psycho, but mainly because okay, she owns a motel, she's hearing voices, and that type of thing. So I guess there's sort of that psychological thing going on, even though it's not fleshed out very well in this movie. And then there was also Crawl Space from 1986, the one with Klaus Kinski in it, because he's kind of stalking his tenants and going through all the air ducts and all the secret passages to kind of mess around and kill those people. So she kind of does similar things where she's going underneath the different what do you call them? I can't think of what they're called.
I would just call them underground tunnels.
Yeah. Either way, she's got these like underground tunnels where she's using those to kind of pop up into people's rooms and kill them that way. But obviously she doesn't have anywhere near the same creepy or creep factor that Klaus Kinski does. So those two movies that I mentioned, I still prefer those two movies over this one. But I did feel they had some similarities in certain ways.
Yep. Another thing about my point about them taking a while to get going. At first, the woman who's sort of creeping in these underground tunnels, she's never necessarily trying to kill anyone. She's just trying to scare them. In some of these rooms, she lets a snake go, for instance. And she also throws cockroaches in another room and then rats in another room. She's just trying to freak them out a little. And it might be it's sort of interesting in a way. It brings some atmosphere to the movie. There's oh my god, what's going to show up in the room next? But it's not necessarily the most engaging content either.
Is she just trying to scare them? I always thought she was just trying to kill them.
Well, I don't see how cockroaches or rats alone can necessarily kill someone, to be honest, unless they have a heart attack.
Well, maybe not every single instance, but I mean, she does hear the voices to kill them. I believe there's one scene 20-30 minutes into the movie where, maybe half an hour into the movie, she's hearing the voices to kill them. And I mean, when she does get in the room, she does kill them. It's,
Yeah, so once she actually starts working toward it, then she can do a pretty okay job. But before then, she's doing a somewhat piss poor job of trying to kill people with the whole idea of doing that is just throwing cockroaches on them.
And, the funny thing with movies from the 80s and such, they always have these sheriffs that are just fucking useless. The one in this movie, he right from the beginning, he looks really concerned about the situation, and he's doing that look where he's kind of looking at the granny something's wrong with this woman, and but then we never really see him much for most of the movie until he comes in towards the end. And even then, he has a pretty tough time just, battling with this old lady. I mean, you shouldn't really have that much trouble with her, especially when, it's just you and her, and she's choking you. I mean, come on, she's an old lady.
Well, I guess in the if you have a mental break, maybe it just brings with it 10 for its superhuman strength.
So when babies see their parents in trouble, they can lift a car off them and things like that.
It's the exact same concept.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I could understand if, she surprise attacks him and hurts him before, all of the struggling that he has with her, but she takes a swipe and she misses, and it just didn't seem like he should have that much trouble dealing with the old lady in terms of physically being able to stop her.
Yes.
There was a pretty sweet goat at the beginning of the movie, though. He seemed really into it. So
Well, speaking about being into things, um, one of the maybe one of the battle scenes in the movie. So the whole basis of the movie is people, bunch of random people drive into this motel to stay there for the night. And two of these people are, I think they're cousins. I forget their character names, but just these two younger women who get caught in a rainstorm after they crash the vehicle, and of course these women are wearing white t-shirts, um, and that is something I could get into.
you would have done the exact same thing.
Although I might have come up with a cooler job.
What, owning a record company is not cool?
I've got nothing. I'm not saying I could come up with one now, but that I, in that situation, maybe could have.
You know, the funny thing about it is that one of the plot devices in this movie is that a tree falls covering the road. But really, I mean, okay, so that just means you can't go back that way. Why can't you just keep going the way you were going? I mean, I'm pretty sure it's not like a dead end road. It certainly didn't appear that way. So it doesn't, like, they go, well, we can't escape, the road's blocked. It's only blocked one way. I don't know.
Well, I mean, that seems like a pretty out of the way area to begin with. I mean, it's a dirt road if my recollection is right. And I imagine when they turned off the, I don't know, maybe it's just way too far back to the highway to make it feasible. But I mean, it seemed like an out of the way place to begin with. But that's Louisiana for you.
Yeah, I guess. Nah, nah. I don't know. I just didn't feel like, I felt like it was a bit of a cheap excuse for a reason for them to not be able to leave where they are. It's, you could just get in the car and still drive down the road somewhere. I mean, even if you can't get past a tree, at least, what, you gonna drive away and Granny's gonna come running down the road after you? I don't think so. Anyways, yeah, I heard that, okay, the original title of the movie was Mountaintop Motel, so it didn't have the massacre in the title. And they added that in later. I don't know, maybe it just appealed to horror fans a little bit more, but there's some violence and gore in the movie, to be honest. Probably not as much as I was hoping, so
Well, it's also sort of funny though, because they may not have had massacre in the original title, but in my opinion, they barely have Mountaintop. I mean, maybe there's a few scenes where it looks like it's almost on a hill, but I'm not seeing any mountain top in this movie whatsoever.
yeah, not really. Yeah, I'm not sure what else there is to say about this one.
Yeah, see, that's a somewhat unfortunate thing about this. Like I said at the beginning, with a name like Mountaintop Motel Massacre, you sort of expect it to, at the very least, be a memorably fun experience. But after you watch it, I can't imagine many people are going to remember too much about it. Like, there's a few okay scenes, but there's pretty much nothing in this movie that hasn't either been done badly or just has been made better. It just, unfortunately, it's one of those times. It's like cardiac arrest, if you remember that one. The poster for the movie was fantastic, but the actual movie was quite a bit of a letdown. Now, this isn't that bad, but I think it is a situation where you might expect a lot more from a movie by this title than what you actually end up getting.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely better than Cardiac Arrest from what I can recall of that movie. I mean, that one's just completely misleading. This one, yeah, it's a motel massacre, but it's it's certainly not, like you said, it's just not as much of a fun time as you'd expect to have with a movie of that title. You expect, fucking all these kind of cool slasher scenes, or people getting killed left, right, and some memorable ways. Aside from kind of one split second of a woman with the sickle or whatever you want to call it through her mouth, and the demise at the end of the old woman, but it's kind of a spoiler, but to be honest, you kind of expect that to happen. Aside from those two quick moments, nothing else really in the movie, I would say, in terms of kills, really did anything for me. One guy loses his hand, but it just would have been nice to have some cooler kills, or some more kills than what it had.
I guess my main thing is that Mountaintop Motel Massacre is not nearly as decent as you might expect it to be. I know that when I first saw this movie, I was expecting, I would say, a lot more from it, but I was expecting something from it. And I love the title. I think it's an amazing movie title, but the actual movie itself, when it's not focused on the woman going around killing people, it's just tedious build up. And sitting through it might be okay for like a one-time viewing experience. And I do know there are people out there who appreciate the sort of like character-driven stuff this movie's going for. But I personally don't much care for this one, and I don't know. I would definitely say it's maybe worth seeing once, but I would not be surprised if you watch it and then forget it the following week.
Yeah, I didn't quite have such a bad time with it. It's certainly not great, but I don't think it's bad either. It's one of those movies that's kind of right in the middle, and who knows how I'm gonna feel about it the second time I watch it. But I was kind of into it at the beginning of the movie. The middle part dropped off for me, and then things got a little more exciting towards the end. So, I thought it was okay. It was, I just think, if you're a fan of low-budget horror from the 80s, early 80s, to the point where, as you said, sometimes it can feel a little bit even 70s-like, but, if you're a fan of movies from around that time, I think you probably, for the most part, have an okay time with this. But yeah, I struggle to think that there'd be a lot of people out there who watch this on any sort of regularity, or watch it more than maybe one repeated viewing. It's just, it's not all that memorable to me.